Hello, my name is Curtis Hustine. We're going to show you the carburetor adjustments. This is the idle air adjustment. This is the bottom end fuel adjustment. And this is the top end fuel adjustment. If you have the Team Associated Ready to Run GT, the carburetor adjustment points look like this. This is your idle speed adjustment. This is your low speed mixture adjustment. And this is your high speed mixture adjustment. This is the air cleaner assembly. This is the air cleaner adapter, the air cleaner, and the pre-filter. The Ready to Run GT comes with a slightly different air filter configuration. There's a rubber housing and two foam filter elements. The black one goes on top of the white one. Refer to your quick start guide for tips on applying pre-filter oil. The first thing we're going to do is put the adapter on the carburetor. The next step is to put on the air filter. We picked out a smaller air filter that actually has more paper and more pleats and does a better cleaning job than some of the bigger air filters. And next we recommend putting on a wire tie over the adapter to the carburetor to help it stay in place. And also around the air filter on the adapter. You never want to run your motor without an air cleaner on there. Your air cleaner should be on there tight, not to fall off. It should do this. The next thing to go on is the pre-filter. We're going to put on some Associated Special Pre-Filter Oil. And you're going to put it on a little bit all over and work it in with your fingers as not to get too much or too little in there. Just work it in. And then you're ready to go. Make sure you pull it down all the way over the paper so nothing is showing. Proper filter maintenance is a must. The air filter must be clean to ensure proper performance and engine life. What you don't want to do is clean your air filter by blowing from the outside. This blows all the dirt into the air filter. What you want to do is blow the air cleaner from the inside out. Be careful not to put the nozzle right up to the filter because it'll blow it apart. Just hold it back and blow into it. That'll blow all the air from the inside out and the dirt will come out.
Perfect. Okay, good.
The air cleaner can only be cleaned a couple times, then we recommend replacing it. We recommend cleaning your pre-filter very often because this collects most of your dirt. For you racers, we recommend cleaning your pre-filter between every heat. It would be best if you keep a few spares already lubed up, that way you don't have to clean them between runs. We recommend cleaning your pre-filter by pouring fuel into a pan and soaking the filter in it, squeezing it, working out all the oil and all the dirt that's built up in there. After it's clean, wring it out, get all the fuel out as best as you can, then dry it off with a paper towel. Try and get it as dry as you can. Then let it sit and air dry.
Go ahead.
After it dries, we recommend using the Associated Pre-Filter Oil to lube it up, just like I showed you earlier. Okay, we're going to show you the carburetor and brake linkage and show you the proper way that it should be hooked up. This is the carburetor right here. it's in the closed position. The transmitter and the radio in the car is on. And you can see where the linkage is hooked up to the carburetor with the ball joint. And as you move down farther, there's a set collar and then a throttle return spring. Throttle return spring should have just enough pressure to keep the carburetor closed when it's on idle. As you go farther down, there's another collar that should have about a 1/16 of an inch gap. And that leaves a little bit of room for when you pull on the throttle and open it up, it leaves room for the brake to release, which I'll tell you about later. This is the brake arm, which also has a set collar on it, which has a gap between it and the brake arm itself that goes to the transmission, has about a 1/16 of an inch gap there. Next is the brake spring, which has a little bit of pressure on it just to get the truck to stop. You don't need a lot of pressure, just a little bit, which you'll find when you're running it you can adjust. And this is the nut that you use to adjust it. Screwing it in tighter squeezes down on the spring more, loosening it up makes the spring looser, which gives you less brakes. Okay, this is the throttle linkage with the carburetor closed, and as you open up the throttle, this should go all the way open without any extra tension on the throttle carburetor arm. Set your endpoints on your transmitter so that you don't overextend it and bend that plastic arm. It should just go wide open. And same thing when you release it, it should go all the way back. Now the brake arm should work the same way. When it's fully open, the brake arm should push back and release the brake. And as you let the throttle go down to idle, the brake spring should have a little bit of pressure to hold the brakes on. This is the carburetor and throttle linkage in the neutral position. And right now there should be just a little bit of pressure on the brakes just to hold the car still. As you pull the throttle open just a little bit, you see the carburetor open, the brakes should be spinning free. That way, when the motor's trying to go, the brakes are free. If you have it adjusted wrong, the motor will be trying to go and the brakes will be trying to make it stop, and you'll burn out the clutch. So just make sure that when the motor's part open, the brakes should be free all the way through the linkage. So where it's wide open, it should spin free. The throttle and brake linkages for the ready-to-run GT look very similar and works much the same. Here's the throttle linkage, and here's the brake linkage.
Okay.
We put the body on the truck, and we want to show you 3 important cutouts that we had to do on the body for clearance reasons. One of the most important things that you need to cut out is the front windshield. If you're just going to be playing around the street, not racing, it's best if you can cut out most of the front windshield and the side windshields also. That'll give plenty of air traveling through the body and into the motor, which will keep it cool. If you're going to be racing, part of the rules are you can only cut out half of the front windshield. So normally you want to cut out this side here so the air can go right through here into the motor. This side has to be solid to put the number on there. You can still cut out the side windows. Another thing you want to do is trim the body a little bit right here to clear for the exhaust pipe coming out. That way you won't have the body covering up the hole, which will make problems tuning your motor and give you performance problems. Another thing you want to do is also trim the back bed of the body out to give clearance for the air filter and the heat sink. That'll give you room to have fresh air going into the air cleaner and cool air going under the heat sink, and also so you can put your glow plug through there. One of the optional parts that you can get for the truck body is this rear spoiler, which gives you a little bit more rear traction. If you're going to be racing, I suggest using it. It just gives you a little bit more traction, a little bit better handling.
Hi, I'm Cliff Lett with Team Associated, and I'm going to help you learn a little bit about the way we suggest starting your car, glow plug procedures to check and see if it's good, checking the fuel tank, just general setup information. But the first thing I'd like to talk to you about is a little bit about safety. Whenever you're running your truck, never run your truck on the street like you'll see us running here. We're going to be using this only for setup procedures and to teach you how to tune the engine so you can hear actually what the engine's doing when we make the changes. So to reiterate that, please don't run your truck in the street where it'll endanger yourself or any other vehicles or people riding by. The first thing we're going to cover is the glow plug. We're going to show you a couple different ways to check and see if the glow plug's good, what it looks like when it's glowing correctly. What we're going to do here is all of our testing and information we're going to give you here is going to be done without the body on the truck. So I'm going to take the body off and we'll go ahead and take the glow plug out. What we use is a 5/16 nut driver. Okay, we're going to take the glow plug out by using this 5/16 nut driver. I'll tilt it over so I don't drop the glow plug. As you can see, there's a little copper washer that goes around the glow plug. Don't lose that. You need to put that back in. So I'll lay that right here on the head. Okay, glow plug has a little wire element that has the glow, and that's what keeps the engine alive and running. What we use to start that with is, this is a McDaniel RC Glow Start Night Starter. And it has a little meter here at the top. This is a really nice one, and we suggest you using this because what this will do, it will tell you if the glow plug's good or bad. And I'll show you what it looks like when it's glowing. I put this in the end, and the little wire, if you can see, glows orange. And that's what keeps the engine live and running. Next thing we're going to do is talk a little bit about the fuel tank. And before we put fuel in, I want to tell you a couple features about the fuel tank. The way we design this tank, it uses a centered clunk type fuel filter so that all the fuel that leaves the tank and goes into the carburetor is clean and pure. Also, the tank is always pressurized by the exhaust system. And we use this small silicone tube which comes from the exhaust muffler, goes through a couple loops. It's important to have these loops in there, we'll cover that later, and pressurizes the tank right here in the center into this fitting. The way that it's pressurized is called the chicken hopper type. And I know that sounds a little funny, but that's exactly the way it works. And without getting into great detail, what it does is it keeps the pressure consistent in the tank throughout the entire fuel tank. As the fuel level goes down, the pressure stays relatively consistent. That way it keeps your carburation settings from changing while you're running the car.
What Cliff is doing now is he's going to screw in the air, and you can hear the idle go up. That's going faster by screwing the air screw in. Okay, now he's going to screw it back so that it's back where he started, and you can hear the idle. That's what happens if you back the air screw out. The engine will die. Cliff is going to richen up the bottom end so you can see what it sounds like when it gets too rich. Here it starts to slow down. Cliff, just let it out. Now, Now that's because it was just simply too rich on the bottom end and it died from too much fuel.
Okay. Now,
We leaned it back down to three-quarters of a turn that he had richened it up. Now it's idling right. Listen to it, and then we're going to lean it down and listen to it speed up. It started to speed up, and then it got to lean, and then it died. Those are the sounds that you need to be aware of. Clip richened the bottom end. Clip richened the bottom end back up, 1/2 turn that he had leaned it down before, and now it's idling okay again. Right now, Cliff is richening up the top end so you can hear what it sounds like when it's too rich on the top end. Cliff's going to lean it back down to where it was before and make a run. You could see when it was too rich, it ran, but it did not have much speed or power. Cliff is leaning the top end so you can see what happens when you go too lean. Great. That couldn't be better. That was definitely too lean. That's what happens when you go too lean. That was perfect.
It took off, and I'm going, gosh, I hope so. The next thing we want to show you is how to adjust the slipper, and the easiest way to do that is to set it to where it's too loose and let you hear what it sounds like when the slipper's slipping too much. That's great. That was a good one. Okay. show you the proper procedure for starting with a hand starter. As you can see, we have a 12-volt hand starter here, which is available from just about any hobby shop. And this is a rechargeable gel cell battery. First thing we're going to do is we're going to turn the transmitter on. The second thing we're going to do is plug the car in and turn the radio on in the car. You never want to start your car without the radio turned on. Then put your knife starter on, lean the car up, holding it from the rear, and start it by pushing the button on the hand starter and putting it against the flywheel through the hole in the bottom of the chassis. As soon as the engine starts, set this hand starter down, pick up your transmitter, and give it about a tenth of a throttle, just a little bit of a throttle to raise the RPM up and get it cleaned out long enough to set it back down and take your glow starter off.
Great.
This is another starting procedure that most likely your serious racers would use. This is a starter box, which is manufactured and built by a couple manufacturers here in the United States. And the way this works is underneath there's a button here, which as you push the chassis down, it depresses this button and turns a starter motor, which is mounted in the top plate of this box. It turns this wheel and it depresses against the flywheel through the hole in the bottom of the chassis, much like the hand starter. The advantage to using a box like this is it's very quick and easy. You can keep one hand on your transmitter at all times, and you would have the glow starter on the glow plug, push down on all of it, and it would depress the button and start the engine. The advantage here again is you have your hand on the transmitter, so you can give it a little bit of throttle and keep the engine running. For the serious racer, there's several advantages to using this type of starting procedure. One being you can remove your pull starter, which is less weight, would keep the center of gravity lower in your truck, and also would allow you to run a low bin type exhaust system. Now we're going to show you 3 starting procedures that we recommend for the RC10GT. The first one is using the pull start assembly. The pull starter, which Curtis is going to show you here, varies in length from motor to motor. This one here is quite long. Some of them are shorter than this. So you want to keep in mind to not pull the cord too far. It'll damage the pull start and could easily pull the rope right out of the starter. Let me say something. Okay,
Go ahead.
we're going to demonstrate this starting procedure now with the pull start. When you're using this method, it's good to have 2 people, one person to operate the radio, the driver, and the other person to pull the starter and hold the glow knife starter on. This allows the driver to give it a little bit of throttle and usually hold the throttle for about 30 seconds once it starts. This allows the engine to warm up and get up to operating temperature so you can start driving it. We're going to go ahead and do this now. Normally they start real easy. One of the last important things we want to tell you about is how to turn your truck off. And most of us all know how to turn a switch off and turn a transmitter off, but it's the order in which you do it. You always want to turn the truck off first. The reason is, if you turn your transmitter off first, your radio is still connected in your car. But before doing any of this, you want to shut the engine off. Leave your transmitter on, leave your car on, turn the engine off. And the way you never stick your fingers in above the car anywhere because they get caught in a gear and you could cut yourself or hurt yourself. Once the engine is not running, then you can turn the car off. Simply by either unplugging it like we have here or by turning a switch off, which may be in your car. The last thing you do is turn off running. Then you can turn the car off. Now that we've given you all this information about your RC10GT, we hope you have a lot of fun with it, a lot of safe fun, and are very successful in your racing if you're going to race it. We've had a lot of fun designing it and working with it through the entire process, and we know we're going to have a lot of fun with it. Good luck.
Good luck.
Good luck.
In the front, followed by Brian Kinwald, Greg Godap is third, Saxton fourth, Billy Easton fifth, Derek Bertani sixth, Greg Degani, Austin Borg, Don Anderson, and Ron Rossetti. All right, pit crews, looks like everyone's on the grid. We have our turn marshals pit crews, release the truck. Once again, the main event underway. The lead is your leader, truck one. Greg Odak second, in the three, Derek Bertani. Truck number 6 is third, Austin Warwick in the 8. Here comes Richard Saxton, Ron Rossetti, Degani, Billy Easton, Ryan Kinwald, and John Anderson. A few trucks sailing in the back of the pack. And it is the number 1 truck trying to hang on to the lead as the number 3 truck coming up on him though. The 4 over the triples. 3 on the course. Truck number 1 comes in for fuel along with the 2 and 1 in for fuel. And out of the pit, right next to each other. Bertani's going to take over the 3rd spot. So 6, 1, and 2. That is the battle for 3rd. Degani, you got faster traffic or faster cars. Thank you, Degani. Degani on his. Here comes the number 4 truck. Trying to get past the number 3. 3, that is the leader right behind you. Ravina's hanging on to 2nd. Don Anderson in the number 9 is 3rd. And Greg Godap in the number 3 is her 4th spot on the course. Left to go in this 45-minute main event. To go in this race, it is Richard Saxton hanging on to the lead right now. Mark Levitas only a few seconds behind of Don Anderson in the 3rd spot. Once the position is Greg Hoda. Brian Kimball, Derek Persani, Austin DeVore run. Rossetti, Billy Easton, and Greg Degani round out the field. 30 seconds, drivers, 30 seconds. Drivers, 20 seconds. Less than 10 seconds on the clock. 5 seconds. That is time. 9. You're done. Right on the line. 45 minutes. 0 is done. 6 is finished. And the 96 Roar champion is Richard Saxon. Truck number 4. 3 is done. 1 will finish for second. 2 is done. And the 8, that is a race. We need the top 4 in tech, please. Top 4. That is Richard Saxon, Mark Provita, John Anderson, and Greg Hoda. Top 4 in tech.
Can you believe it?
Hey, Phil Hurd, Roar president.
At 9 minutes?
I went 8.5. I don't know. Wow. How long, hey Regan?
You went over 9.
How long did it go that one time? It didn't
How
go,
long were those stops?
and I felt it. I'm like,
How long?
coming in.
Longest one was almost 9.5 minutes.
They were long, weren't they?
I went 9.
Go, champ.
Right on, dude.
Thank God for mileage.
Mark. I went 9.
Awesome
and
comeback,
I think Regan lost track or something. Oh man, it went whang. I go, oh, I'm coming in. I turned right.
Curtis, that mobile gas.
Good
Clean,
stuff.
Extra
The
straight.
problem was the pit stops were so quick that I had to tell you to squeeze the throttle because we thought we were going to make it.
And it's like, holy
I was taking
shit.
it really
Fast as
well. The track was so bad that I figured
back
going
down.
slow anyways. You did awesome.
Yeah, I can't believe it. I thought he was.
Well, I think
I was so...
Mark's out.
You last.
I was catching him though. As you
Big
went
time.
down, he was like, just, I go, you're catching him.
Did you see my first
they ran
lap?
over.
I took out the start and ran into the cone. Right there. Ran into the cone. I was stuck. And by the second lap, I was fourth.
I think